good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Talking Gospel. Hope you prayed up, hope you blessed up, and I definitely hope your soul is right with Christ before you decide to get on that bike. Today's video is about what I wish I knew before buying my first bike. Things I wish somebody would have told me, or just things that just aren't made clear that no one could have told you or warned you about. So I hope this video helped you. This is coming from a rider with a little over 3 years of experience. So not a ton of experience there, but I'm definitely not a new rider. So here we go. So the first thing that I wish I would have knew about owning a bike or buying my first motorcycle was about doing maintenance. So basically owning a motorcycle, it could be really costly if you aren't willing to do anything on your bike. And when I say anything, I mean like small things like oil changes and changing out your brake pads or switching your levers out, doing a coolant flush. If you aren't willing to do at least some of those things, it's going to be really costly for you, only because most motorcycle places, they charge by the hour. And I mean, sometimes, man, I done seen it as low as $150 to $160 an hour to as high as $200 plus an hour. And like, it's going to be a minimum of like 3 to 4 hours. So just for a simple oil change, man, like, and that's not even including the parts. So like, I'm doing a ballpark figure here. But for like just the parts for the oil on this bike, the 750 GSXR Suzuki, you're looking at roughly about $100, 130, 140. That's with all of the oil and then the oil filter. And then you add, let's say if they on the low end, they say it's gonna take them 2 hours, right? You're at like $400 or $500, man, just for oil change, man. You might have a package deal where they do it for like $300, but man, you could save. I actually need to make a left, but you could save a ton of money, man, just doing it yourself. So that's one thing I learned, man. Also I did a coolant flush, so looking that up. So basically, what I'm saying, if you're not willing to do work on your own bike, then that's one of the things that I learned. You got to be willing to do work on the bike. Be willing to get your hands dirty. Be willing to change the brake pads. Be willing to keep the tire, the chain lubed, the chain clean. Be willing to clean your bike. So it's like you are inheriting another responsibility owning a motorcycle. So the second thing that I learned about what I wish I would have known about buying a motorcycle, and I don't want to say 2, 3, and 4 because I'm going to get lost somewhere, but it's not actually the motorcycle that's expensive, but it's actually the maintenance. So when people saying like, having a motorcycle is expensive, what they're talking about is maintaining a motorcycle. And when I say expensive, it's not like insane. Depends on the bike that you have. Like, of course, if you have like a Harley Davidson or something like that, of course, it's gonna be more expensive. The bigger the bike, or the more pristine the name is, usually the more expensive it will be. That's just with anything. So let's say if you own something like a Suzuki, I think those Honda, those are probably one of the most cheapest bikes to maintain. And I use cheapest loosely there. So basically, when we talk about maintenance, what I'm basically saying is it's not expensive. It's only expensive because it's an extra bill. An extra bill on top of your car payments, an extra bill on top of your mortgage or your rent or your lease, extra bill on top of food, so the bike is just like a car. It's always going to need something. It's going to need an oil change. It's either going to need tires, almost back into the first point, so it's not necessarily just, you could get your hands on a bike, like I'm almost to say with any budget, With any budget you have, you can get your hand on a bike. It just depends. You might have a ton of miles on it. You might have to do a lot of maintenance to it, or you might just catch somebody that's just in a season where they need money, or they just not using the bike, you know. So be aware of that. It is going to be a maintenance cost. It's not like you just buy the bike and then you drive it forever. That is definitely not the case. Almost every riding season and a half to 2 riding seasons, you're going to have to do something to your bike. Be it brakes, be it changing the oil, be it tires, or being there's something electrical going wrong. This Suzuki that I haven't experienced any electrical problems with it. This bike is a 2009. I had this bike for about 2 years now. I've bruised this bike. I've ridden it hard. I did clutch up wheelies, burnt the clutch out, and there's no electrical problems with this bike. It's not wish I would have known, but it's more like a nugget. Is to take the course, take the MSF course, because what will happen is you will develop bad habits. So what I would say is I definitely developed bad habits from riding dirt bikes as a kid. Some of those bad habits was just not using the back brake, not knowing where the back brake was really, just riding in inappropriate gear. Grabbing the clutch to stop with one finger, things like that. Not knowing what engine braking is, not knowing what the friction zone is. So you wanna develop a good foundation. You wanna start with a good foundation. That way you can build upon it. You don't want to have bad habits that would just can end up fatal or end up just explode into something that you just didn't want to happen. So the next thing that I wish I would have known is that your first bike do not have to be your dream bike. Like, you don't have to get your dream bike the first time. If you do, that is wonderful. Congratulations. That would be nice. I don't know if that's ideal, but just get your hands on something you like. Be looking to aspire for the bike that you do want to get. Once like riding alone, I've come to realize whatever bike that you're on, like, people are gonna love it regardless. Like, it don't even matter. Like, as long as it's 2 wheels, it has an engine, like you accept it. You're welcome to the culture. Like, it's no discrimination. I never seen anybody discriminated against because of the type of bike that they had. So those are things that I wish I would have known. I know when I first did my group ride, I was on the Honda 300. I felt some type of way because, I didn't know what people were going to think. That I'm a chicken, I'm a punk or whatever because I'm on this little 300 and I'm a man. But man, it was like, that never came up. It was more like, hey man, you want to go on this other ride with us? Or hey man, let me get your contacts so we can ride. It was never you had an incompetent bike. That's like not a thing. That's more of a personal thing. Like, you will personally start feeling like, hey, I'm tired of getting left, or things of that nature. Everybody out here, or look at her, she on a Hayabusa, which those are just personal things that you're gonna have to get over. And it doesn't really matter. I would encourage you to go to a motorcycle dealership, sit on a bike, talk to the representative, and get what feels right for you. Like, all your friends might be on sports bikes, or all your friends might be on street glides, and you thinking that that's the bike to have, that's the bike to get, until you might blindly just go buy a street glide, and you get the street glide and you realize like you don't like the bike, or vice versa. All your friends might have sports bikes. You get on a sports bike and you buy a sports bike without even trying one out or like seeing what it was about, and you realize you don't like the sports bike, so get the bike that you like. Don't I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be peer pressure into doing anything. Your ego doesn't determine your CC displacement or your bike displacement. Don't let that determine. And all of these are kind of like similar, like, to be honest with you. Like, you're not better than the other rider just because he started on a 300 and you started on a 1000. You may be, it's possible, but 9 times out of 10 is not. Let's say you are a law-abiding citizen, right? And you go 5 over, 10 over the speed limit. Like, how long can you maintain just aimlessly, senselessly, mindlessly speeding? Not that long, right? So as long as you got a bike that could do 100 miles per hour, like, you pretty much ready for the road. You know, that 300 I had on the highway every time I had a chance, and I was fine, you know. Now, of course, like, you know, it was a 300cc, so of course it's going to have the power you expect or the lack thereof. But I was able to keep up. I went on plenty group rides. This is what I want to be clear about. I went on plenty group rides with that 300cc, and I was perfectly fine. I wasn't left. I was able to keep up. And we were doing like an average of 80 miles per hour, 85 miles per hour, which that bike could perfectly do. Insurance. So now my bike is roughly, I use Geico, and my bike is roughly, I want to say $35 a month for my insurance. To me, that's not bad. You know, it's not high. It's like I guess like a Chat GPT subscription and a Netflix subscription, you know. So I think that's affordable. I am in the state of North Carolina, so I know northern states have higher insurances depending on the state you are in. But I would say that insurance wasn't entirely high, but that is something to keep in mind. You will have to insure your bike. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out here willy-nilly in it, just riding with no license and no insurance. I don't recommend that. I recommend that you do everything right, man. Just in case, like, if you get into trouble, you want to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Hope that it never happens, you know, because, you know, if you do need to pull that ticket, man, you need to pull that insurance, and you don't have that, you're gonna be in big trouble, man. You're going to be in big trouble, and you're going to end up spending a lot of money, a fortune, just because you didn't pay your $30 a month, man. One of the things that I didn't factor in is about the gear that I was going to need. So I can remember when I went to go pick up my first bike, I went to pick up this Honda CBR, bought it from this middle-aged female, nice lady. She bought bikes, and she had a hobby of just getting bikes and fixing them up, putting aftermarket stuff on it. So when I got the bike, it had like a loud exhaust on it. It had LED lights, the whole nine. The bike was beautiful. But when I went there, she was like, so what kind of helmet you wear? And I was like, I don't even have a helmet. So there you go. Like, I ended up buying a bike before I even had a helmet. So of course, she had plenty of helmets. She sold me this HJC or something like that helmet for about $60. And then, man, I also needed a jacket. So I didn't realize all of these small other fees. So at least bare minimum, man, you want to be riding with a helmet, jacket, and gloves at bare minimum. You should also have pants and boots. But at bare minimum, man, you should at least have a helmet, you know. I'm gonna be honest, I ride with gloves. So let's do this. Yeah. But I ride with a helmet, gloves, and a jacket, you know. I need gas. Dang it. All right. But yeah, and then it depends on, like, you could get a helmet for a brand new helmet for as little as $150 to as high as $3,000 to $4,000 to $6,000. So I recommend you getting a decent helmet. I use a Shoei. The helmet I got retails for around like $450 to $500. I recommend at least something like that or better. You know, do your research. You don't have to spend $500. Of course, you can get a really nice HJC. I know I'm butchering that, for about $200 something. Just nice. Some real gloves. You want the knuckle protection like how I have. You know, you see that. Get you a really nice jacket. You know, all of this gear should fit you pretty tightly, because the idea is if you fall or you do take a fall, you don't want things moving around. When you wiggle your head, your helmet shouldn't shake. It should move with your head. So that's one of the things that I wish I would have known, because I had no gear. I went through multiple jackets before I actually found the one that I have that I love. And that's one thing I recommend. Look, there's Teams Power Sports. I was in there before. I was looking for an R6 at the time when I was upgrading for my 300, but they didn't have any, in which I got the 750. But you want to find. I ended up finding this jacket for the first time. I went into Cycle Gear and I was able to try on jackets, and I highly recommend you try on the jacket before you buy it. The next thing I wish I would have known is that now there are going to be some people that's lucky on this that can't relate, but to the people that could relate, you know what I'm talking about. You are going to drop your bike one way or another, so it would be in your best interest to buy some frame sliders, which I have. You can probably see it right here. I don't know if the camera can see that. Or like a frame guard. That is a bigger attachment, more expensive. But that's more for stunt riders, but it's good. I wish I could have had a frame guard. I'd be probably a little more reckless when when I'm practicing things on my bike, such as like wheelies and trying to do burnouts, things of that nature. I'm gonna have to stop soon for gas. But yeah, whether you drop your bike hopefully, God willing, if it does happen to you, God forbid, it's in a accident where no one gets hurt, or somebody bumping you, or you're outside, you got your bike parked, and somebody decide they want to sit on it, you come back outside and it's knocked over, or putting it on a incline and you got the kickstand on and you didn't account for the incline level and your bike dropped while it was parked, pulling up to a light. I mean, even the best of them, man, you drop your bike, it happens, man. It happens. Another thing I wish I would have known was about the wind, man. When you first start riding, the wind is really, really scary because you don't realize it. Like, you ever been in a car and you felt the wind kind of push the car? That was a cross current that was really, really powerful. Now imagine being on a bike. And I remember the first time I got on the highway, when I felt that wind, my mind just kept telling me that it's gonna knock the bike over, man. But it's not gonna knock the bike over. You just gotta adjust to it. You lean into the wind. You good to go on that. But I wish I would have known those type of things. You get used to it after a while. You build the endurance and the muscle of holding your neck up, holding your torso up, your hands, holding on with your hands. At first, man, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna feel like you about to fall off the bike, or the wind is about to blow you off of the bike. But after a while, man, you get to grow to enjoy that very feeling right there. So those are things that I wish I would have known. Oh man, I'm wilding. I need to go to that Sheets. Motorcycle tires aren't car tires. You can't put a car tire on a motorcycle. You could if you mod it like crazy, but that's going to drastically change your handling, which you don't want. You want handling on your motorcycle. So like, motorcycle tires are made differently from car tires. Like, they're made to lean, so you could use like the whole side of the tire. It's made like a U. You have treading on the side. Like, you gotta see that car right there. Like, if that car was to lean, there's nothing to lean on. The tire is flat, and that's to make for more surface area coverage. The treading is more important on a motorcycle than a car. If you lose friction on a car, the car is not gonna tip over. It's gonna slide. If you lose friction on a motorcycle, you're gonna fall. So you have to make sure those tires are at least, man, decent. At least make sure your tires are decent, at least. So let's hit this. I don't even want to go here, but it is what it is. Let's hit this station up real quick for some G. I already done pushed it way too long. Let's see. Some 93 popping off. Closer. So that's just some of the stuff that I want to cover. It's a lot more. I don't want to make this video, I guess, too long than what it needed to be. It's a million things that I wish I would have known. You could drop a like in the comment or something you wish you would have known. Maybe I could answer it for you. Just talking gospel. I'm out.